Well, we've just come from a meeting with the Chief Constable, Matt Baggot, and his senior team. And this presented an opportunity for us to explain our concern, and I think the widespread concern that there is in the Short Strand area over the inadequate protection for the people of the Short Strand, particularly so as given the events of the last couple of weeks have shown well over a dozen parades past the Short Strand. So there is a very serious concern, and I note that Matt Baggot has apologised to the people of the Short Strand, and I very much welcome that apology. And the grand scheme of things, obviously there is also widespread concern that these unacceptable protests, which are very damaging to our community and to economic prospects, are continuing. And I pointed out in the Assembly that in the aftermath of the killing of the two soldiers at Antrim and the killing of Constable Stephen Carroll and Constable Roland Kerr, I wasn't found wanting in relation to my opposition to those people who were responsible for those acts. I've made the point over the course of the last couple of weeks that we need to see a similar response with all of the political parties coming together to make it absolutely clear to those people who are involved in the protests, who are made up of British National Party type thought processes, made up of people who are hostile to the peace process and to the institutions of the Good Friday Agreement, and made up particularly of an organisation called the UVF in East Belfast, which is led by two drug pushers who are all working in concert to undermine the political process. That we have to stand against that, and we have to be seen as political leaders, the five political leaders, standing against the activities of these people and giving support to the police and taking resolute action against those people who are quite clearly breaking the law almost on a nightly basis. So from our perspective, this was a positive engagement. It's an attempt by Sinn Fein to be positive and constructive about how we need to go forward. And I just think that what is absolutely vital is a united approach by the political parties in support of the police, but the police doing their job, protecting the local community and bringing to heal those people who are involved in what now effectively is mass law breaking every time we have a session of these protests.
Can I ask, do you feel that there should be a change in policing tactics in general? Like, for example, a lot of people think protesters blocking roads should be removed from those roads.
Well, we had a very useful conversation with Matt Baggot and his senior team about all of that. Obviously the tactics that are deployed in dealing with these situations are very much his responsibility, but we too as politicians have a duty to our constituents to express our concern that there appears to be a notion abroad that the people who are involved in blocking roads, the people who have been escorted in these protests are getting far too much leeway from the police. That in fact many of the people involved in the protests are involved in blatant acts of breaking the law. So lawbreakers have to be brought to heel by the police, and we have expressed what we think is a widespread concern within the broad community that those people who are breaking the law almost on a nightly basis need to be brought before the courts.
And do you get any sense that after the violence of the weekend that there is going to be a sort of a tougher approach from the police? Did you get any sense of that from Matt Baggot today?
Well, first of all, I think there needs to be a tougher approach from the political process. And I think in the aftermath of those incidents that I identified, which were carried out by people, so-called Republicans who are against the peace process, I had no hesitation whatsoever in condemning the deeds that they were involved in and calling for them to be brought before the courts. I haven't heard that from Unionist politicians over the course of the last 5 weeks, and it took me today to identify what is common currency within the political process, that some of the chief architects of the violence that has happened on the streets in Belfast are in East Belfast and are in the leadership of the UVF in East Belfast, and particularly two individuals who are the most senior people in the UVF in East Belfast, who are well-known drug pushers in this city. I think there needs to be resolute action, not just from the police, but also from political leaders.
Have Unionist politicians been found wanting then?
Well, I think the public and the media will make their own judgment on that. I draw attention to the fact that I was not found wanting in the aftermath of the terrible murders of 4 individuals, 2 policemen and 2 soldiers. What I have called for privately in the discussions that I've been involved in at Parliament buildings in Stormont and in other places is for a united approach, a very strong statement condemning the violence and calling for an end to the protests. Whether or not others are prepared to join as a united group representing the Assembly and the Executive, it really is a matter for them.
Has Matt Baggot give you any reassurances about further arrests?
I think Matt Baggot clearly understands that we have seen mass lawbreaking take place over the course of the last number of weeks, and I think he understands that he has a duty as Chief Constable, both him and the senior officers, to bring those people who were involved in mass lawbreaking before the courts.
How concerned are you about community relations?
I'm very concerned about a wide range of issues, not least community relations, not least our attempts to attract foreign direct investment, not least the fact that this has travelled all around the world as a terrible news story for the north of Ireland. And I say that as someone who's been involved in trade delegations to China, to India, to other parts of the world, and future trade delegations organised in the course of this year. It's so depressing. It needs to be brought to an end. And the only way it can be brought to an end is by resolute action from political leaders united with the same message against those people who are trying to destroy the peace process, and resolute action by the police. Thank you.